Today I'm going to give you guys a tour of my Waterbox 7225 6-foot reef tank. But first, quick shout out to Richard from reefs.com for having me on to do this tank tour. Definitely appreciate that. And if you guys haven't seen my tank before, you can always check me out on my personal YouTube channel at youtube.com/reefdudes. Now let's get to the tank. Like I mentioned, the tank is a Waterbox 7225, which is actually the dimension, so it's 72 inches long by 25 inches wide. I've always been a huge fan of the peninsulas. I love the fact that you can kind of get all three sides of the tank, and it's kind of like sneaking in multiple tanks in one. Just gives it a really cool look to be able to see through the tank. The lighting on the tank is taken care of by 3 Ecotech XR15s. Right below it we have the D&D Jump Guard top. This is one of the sleeker ones I found because it's very minimalistic. I prefer not to have a top, but as you can tell, I like my wrasses, so got to make sure that everyone is safe inside. I've always been a huge fan of the mixed reef, so I can never decide on just one type of coral. So we have everything from zoas to acros to LPS and clams and just about everything else in between. The tank is only about 4 or 5 months old now, so it's finally starting to settle into its groove. There was a couple of hiccups along the way with nutrients and whatnot, but that's mainly because of adding so many fish at once. Flow for the tank is provided by 2 MP60s. Now they're running at about, I believe they're about 50 or 60% on reef crest mode, and they alternate from either side to the tank. So as you know, this one ramps up, the one on the other side will ramp down. Now MP60s are really big pumps and they move a lot of water, but I really did not want to have any pumps on the other 3 sides of the tank. So that's kind of the main reason with MP60, just that big, broad, massive push of water throughout the tank. If we come down below, you'll see the controller board. And on here I have 4 Ecotech Versas. One of them is running my calcium reactor, 2 of them are for automatic water change, and the other is a spare that may be used for probably dosing trace elements in the near future. I got the 2 MP40s and then the return pump. And if we look down in there, I do have an Alcatronic and some other gear, heater controller and some other stuff hiding kind of behind the board, but I left that stuff out just to keep it looking nice and clean. So in the next chamber over, we have my sump. Right now the water flows in, it goes through a bit of a mixture, some E-Shots Biolux and some Brightwell bricks, different types of media. The first chamber, which is going to have a filter roller in the future, I haven't had that yet just because I got to change the plumbing. So for now we have a turf scrubber, and that's a clear water scrubber. And next chamber over we have a refugium lit with the prime fuge light. And I do have little Reef Dudes AI flaps on there just to prevent any algae from growing in the skimmer. Water flows into the skimmer. Now the skimmer is the NIAS 220, so this guy skims like a champ. Super dark, nasty skimming, so it's doing its job. We have a NIAS reactor with this little bit of GFO and some carbon. And from there it flows back over into the return pump chamber. And for the return pump I have a Ecotech L2. Now this thing is turned way over down. This pump is extremely overkill, but gives me a lot of headroom for kind of future growth or if I want to crank up the flow later on. For the auto top off I have the Neptune ATK, and that actually pulls from down below. So right beside my laundry machine is my salt mixing bins. So down here we have 2. One of them is for new salt water, and this is the stuff that gets pumped in from my auto water change. Then the other bin beside it is the one I use for my auto top off. So I can also pump water from this bin to that bin if I need to refill it, or this was where my auto top up pulls from, so kind of universal. And that is fed by the SpectraPure RODI unit. And beside it here we also got a Neptune power bar, which controls my mixing pump or the float switches, or the optical switches in there and whatnot. On the fish front, we definitely got the tang gang. We have 3 yellow tangs, a Red Sea sailfin tang, we got a hippo tang, and a purple tang, who all surprisingly get along fairly well. In the tank, there's the odd little kind of skiff, but 99% of the time everyone just gets along happily. A little cleaner ass, he's a little bit of a punk. You see him nipping at the clam once in a while. Yeah, a little punk. Little Caribbean Royal Gamma. Got our leopard wrasses, so leopard wrasse, Millinaris wrasse. We got a red-headed wrasse, really pretty blue throat wrasse, He looks really cool when you kind of see him flashing with his fins out. A few different Anthias. Midas Blenny, love that guy, super bubbly. One of my new favorite fish is the blue spot jawfish. So he's a fairly recent addition, and tons of personnel. That guy cracks me up all the time. Some Bangkok cardinals. Got a coral beauty over there hiding in the cave. And there's a pair of flame hawkfish, or their characters. Those guys are kind of funny too. I can see always poking at you, perching and watching what you're doing. Super curious little guys. The rockscape is Marco rocks. I use a lot of the lead rocks because I really love that kind of like overhangy look. And this one at the end, it kind of starts with LPS, acans, come up over and kind of like the far third of the tank, and I got on my torch garden. So tons of torches. Those are actually two different rock structures, but the tentacles kind of make it look like it blends into one. And we start to have acros coming down through here, and get some more acros as we go up the rock. You know, got a big Australian elegance down there. So it's really a mix everywhere, but because we have so much flow at this end, I try to make it more acro and get slightly more LPS as the tank goes on. I've also had a little bit of a Goni garden obsession for a while there, so I started building this little Goni garden area. So I love those kind of big flowy tentacles, and I'm kind of hoping they start to grow all around the little jawfish's cave eventually. I think they'll be really cool. Thanks again to richandreefs.com for having me on. If you guys do want to see more, you can always check out my channel at youtube.com/reefdeeds, because I post videos every week about different reefing topics and the tank. Alright guys, thanks again so much, and happy reefing.